benthic imagery workshop. We've got the final day's events lined up for us, and two sessions. One's more of a technical session. The second session will be more bringing things together and looking at ways going forward for the group. And I will bring up a few slides to walk us through how we're gonna get through this final day. We've got a plan together. Okay, so again, by now, not everyone will have been coming to all 3 days. Some people were only able to make certain sessions or certain days. Just a quick run through of your facilitation team today. You got myself, Henk van Rijn. I will be welcoming and closing the days, and also running the final session today, session 6. Kirsten Dinwoody has run sessions 1. Well, had run session 1, and will be doing the morning session today for us. Joey O'Connor was there on the first day, running the second session in the afternoon. Had Jess Taylor, who ran the third session yesterday morning. Steph Kolob, who ran session 4 in the afternoon yesterday. Zena Molson, who has been managing all of our numerous registrations over the last couple of days, and sending out sort of bits and bobs of correspondence to you. And finally, Neil Golding from Aquarius Survey and Mapping, who is collating everything that we produce from the workshop and will distill that into a report. But today is quite an important day for Neil, because it's our final day of the workshop, and we have to do our best to try and summarize things and bring things together. And they'll all be funneled Neil's way after this. So yes, if anything's not clear over the course of today, Neil, please do put your hand up and we can go back and recover those issues, yeah? The platform, we've become used to it over the last couple of days, is Microsoft Teams. We're logged onto it at the moment, of course. Little run through of how this works. The buttons at the top there to mute yourself. I see we're all muted now. That's great. Whenever sort of presenters aren't speaking, and you want to speak, obviously, you can unmute there. The cameras, it's actually, yesterday we tried having the cameras on for more of the day, and I found it a lot easier talking. I'm sure, like a lot of you, also found that a bit better too. So please do keep your camera on if you can. It creates sort of a better, creates a, it's a lot more like a conversation, I suppose. But if the bandwidth tanks during any of the presentations, then obviously turn it off. When you have questions, please put your hand up using these buttons at the top, and alternatively, you can also type a question in to the box as you see there. And we do encourage you to ask as many questions as you have. We'll do our best to get around you. Today is the last day, so it's your last opportunity to ask these questions. There aren't good or bad questions. There are just things that you want to know, and sometimes there'll be things that a lot of other people want to know on the call too. So those questions, even if it's explaining small things, they are very, very valuable, and we can capture all of that in the chat as well. With regards to leaving the meetings, we set up a networking space yesterday, which a few people have been using. That's great. I'm glad that's working. You might find switching between this meeting space and that meeting space, you have to leave the meetings. That's not a problem. If you leave a meeting, you can just follow the links that were sent in your emails. A lot of those will be in your calendars, and you can follow those to get back in to whichever meeting it is that you want to be in. There are some options if you look at the little dots, depending on your use of Microsoft Teams. Some people have more options than others. You can play around with screens and gallery viewing modes and so on. So that's in there, and we are recording all the sessions for Prosperity, and they will go up, sort of edited records will go up onto the webpage for the workshop for future viewing. So it's just to note that. So you're back at the big picture too. Thank you very much for coming back for round 3, day 3. These are some of the organizations that have been actively collaborating within project working groups. There are many, and but this is not to say that's all of them. There are many other organizations working in this effort. So, right, the plan for today. I'm going to run through this quickly then. The aims are the same as the other days. Really, we want to share progress of the big picture group that's happened over the last couple of days. Sorry, the last couple of years, but we've been sharing that progress over the last couple of days. The things that we're really looking to move the work forward are to identify funding routes and reach out sort of globally, looking at what other organizations in other countries are maybe working on, and whether they have sort of achieved the things that we're trying to achieve. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. So reaching out like that, and as we've been going along, something we've been very good at is identifying the future challenges and hurdles that need to be overcome. And today, more importantly than the other days, we're bringing it all together, and that will be put into a report. And the focus of this report will sort of provide a milestone of our engagement and efforts over the last couple of years, and can be used as a resource by the project working groups going forward. What we'll actually do, although this welcome is supposed to last till 10, I think we'll actually just try and get through this. Try to end this a bit sooner, and have a very quick, as I called it yesterday, a lightning break to end us at sort of 10 to basically a 10-minute tea, coffee, comfort break just before we start the session 5 at 10. So the main events for today, session 5, Kirsten will be leading us through sort of a session on training standards, acquisition approaches for the future. There will be 3 speakers during the session. We have Jamie Davies from University of Plymouth, Ross Bullimore from CFAS. I think Mike Fraser might be chipping in. I'm not entirely sure yet. And then finally, rounding up on the session, I will be covering the oddball of the session, which doesn't really fit in with the other 2 topics, but we had to get it in somewhere, and it's the acquisition approaches from the Benthic Imagery Action Plan and what to do about those. But mostly, yes, training development approaches, how we create sort of good guidance going forward. Then we'll break for a good hour lunch from 12 to 1. And then in the afternoon, I'll lead us through the final session of the day, bringing together the facilitators who will present summaries of all of their sessions, bringing together the funding opportunities, global outreach, and the future challenges in particular. And we're hoping having these things all in the one place will enable us to reassess the overall aims of the workshop, and to see where we've met those aims and what we've missed. And this is going to be an open plenary session mostly, where we do really need your help to volunteer ideas, to chip in and say what's missing. And then sort of as the session moves on, we'll be focusing more on the future of the big picture, and what the next steps will be, what our sort of immediate challenges are likely to be, and our a forecast of what's coming next. So that will wrap things up, and we'll have a break. then just a quick pause for a last cup of tea, last cup of coffee, and then there'll be a final closing session for half an hour that will take us just up to 4 o'clock. As always, I'll just pause and ask anyone if they've got any questions on that. Let's pause for a moment. You can put your hand up, or you can type a question in the chat box. I see there've been a few points in there already. It's continuing on the Beagle chat. I don't see any hands up though. Okay. Yes, it does seem pretty clear. That's great. In addition to this, we'll be sending out some feedback forms. Probably not today, but we'll be sending them out to your email addresses when you registered. And this is just to sort of get a little bit of feedback from you about the sessions you attended, any of your thoughts, how you think the workshop was managed. It's always good to hear what you're thinking in that respect. Just a final note. Yes, that the networking channel is still live today. I say networking channel. It's more of a meeting actually. It'll appear as a meeting on your on your invite. Please feel free to go in there during any of the breaks. You can have sort of more conversation with other colleagues in there, and yes, feel free to use that at any point.